Thank you so much.
Yeah, and Nellie will speak to you at the end of the meeting.
Yep,
Sure,
yep.
please.
So, dear member and guest, we are just a few seconds away before the start of the meeting. Please mute your all electronic devices.
Hello, everyone.
Ayos main Watara.
Yes.
In a while, I will be posting the guest book and the agenda, and I will be talking back to you at the end. Thank you, Osmin. Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmaster club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. I am Nellie Jane, all the way from the Philippines, your presiding Toastmaster of the meeting. And here at Leadership Speak, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is a primary club for experienced Toastmaster to become better self directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer, Leah Mincha, has a virtual hand raise so we can all immediately see who is keeping the time. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our Toastmaster of the day who will lead us through tonight's meeting. She is a distinguished Toastmaster, leader who has served in key roles as an area director, club coach, mentor, and trainer. A communication trainer. She is passionate about helping people communicate with confidence, clarity, and impact. She is equally passionate too about leadership development, communication excellence, and empowering individuals and our clubs to grow. So tonight, as we explore our theme, crisis leadership, we have someone who will guide us through this meeting. So please join me in warmly welcoming our Toastmaster of the day, Nellie Ayodo. Over to you, Nellie.
Thank you, Nellie. Thank you, Presiding Officer, for the warm introduction. Hello from Nairobi, Kenya. A warm welcome to all our members and guests who have joined us today in today's meeting. To our esteemed guests, the guest book will be posted in the chat shortly. Kindly take a moment to sign it and feel free to share any comments or reflections. At the end of the meeting, we will invite our guests to share their thoughts and feedback about today's meeting. We look forward to staying connected with you beyond today's session. The agenda for today's meeting will be posted shortly. The link has now been shared in the chat, so please feel free to have a look. Once again, welcome and thank you for joining us. We are delighted to have you with us. Today's theme is inspired by an American mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani. He once said, "It is in times of crisis that good leaders emerge." Crisis leadership is the ability to guide people, make sound decisions, and maintain stability during a sudden, high pressure, or threatening situation. It requires more than technical expertise or authority. Leaders must assess incomplete information, make sound decisions, communicate clearly, maintain trust, and adapt as circumstances change. At Leadership Speak, we believe leadership is demonstrated through intentional practice, critical thinking, accountability, and service. Crisis leadership gives experienced Toastmasters an opportunity to examine how judgment, communication, courage, and responsibility shape leadership when circumstances are least predictable. Our timer today is Lair Ninja. Please tell us about your role.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. I am your timer for today's meeting. I will time each speaker according to the agenda using the virtual background, green, yellow, and red. After each segment, I'll post the timing results in the chat. Thank you very much, and over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much. Our next role taker is grammarian Maryam Saedevi. Please tell us about your role.
Hi everyone, Nellie. It's me, Najla, doing the grammarian and the word of the day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, not at all, not at all. So I will be introducing the word of the day shortly, and I would request every member to utilize the word during the speech, during the roles of the meeting, as well as I will be grammarian, and will be my focus on the linguistics used and the vocabulary that elevate the speech quality, as well as will highlight the area of improvement on certain vocabularies or aspect related to grammar. The purpose of that role is to elevate the quality of the words usage during the meeting. Thank you, Nellie.
Our education, may I call the toast? May I call Arouna to perform the toast?
A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John Maxwell said, unfortunately, showing the way is not enough to be an effective leader. The way you are showing the way matters, especially during tough periods. Leaders must be consistent, guided by his vision and anchored in his values. It's how it inspires confidence and builds trust with their team. Ladies and gentlemen, effective leaders know in chaos, if you can remain calm at the end of the day, you will win, because making informed decisions requires serenity. They know managing crises is part of their leadership journey. With a shared vision and effective communication, they can maintain trust among the team, navigate through crises, and achieve the best possible outcome. And most importantly, effective leaders know how they manage crises. Never last, but how they guide individuals and organizations does. It's why they need to pay attention of the team in tough periods to support them in achieving their goals. Ladies and gentlemen, let's celebrate leaders who lead with empathy, especially during tough period. Leaders who lead with agility, guiding the team through crises to achieve their goals without losing their vision. Leaders who know the ability to manage during crisis, prepare to lasting strength. Ladies and gentlemen, unmute yourself, put on your camera, raise your glasses. To agile and emphatic leaders. Cheers.
To agile and emphatic leaders.
Back to you, Madam Toastmaster Bede.
Thank you very much, Arouna. Our next speaker is Wahiga Gichinga. She is the education speaker. What she thinks about crisis leadership is the capacity, judgment, and emotional soundness. Her speech title is Don't Waste a Good Crisis. Wahiga Gichinga, Don't Waste a Good Crisis. The virtual stage is yours.
When is the last time you found yourself in a crisis? Did you navigate it or get burnt in it? A crisis pinches us and comes perhaps with a lot of stress, disruptions, for well-orchestrated plans, and sometimes risks, even failure. But I don't think a crisis is so bad in its entirety, because it also presents us with opportunity for things like change, innovation, growth. It is in crisis that we get to clarify what our priorities are, and sometimes it's walking that journey that forms the most strong bonds. In the year 2024, 2025, I put up my hand to be division director. I was excited, and a month to starting the job, I put up a team. It was composed of 4 area directors, 5 council members, and there was 1 silent council member, my yoga mat. We managed to meet, go through the division success plan, and we were ready and paved way for the clubs and the area to follow suit. Now, a few days before we started the year, a district meeting was convened, which we attended. And the district director mentioned that Toastmasters International, moving forward in the next 1 or 2 years, intends to have districts having at least 100 clubs for effectiveness and efficiency, especially in allocating funds. Now, at that moment, District 114 had 8 league clubs, 17 to go. Well, we were coming from a COVID season, and COVID really severed connections. We had high attrition in clubs. In fact, those Toastmasters we thought would be there till the end of time left too. Now, the clubs allocated to the division, I was division director, for example, were 15. And out of the 15 clubs, only 6 clubs had at least distinguished status in the previous year. The rest of the 9, they had less than 12 members, and they had no educational goal. And maybe 1 or 2, the others didn't have an educational goal. Well, 2 weeks after we started the year, we were called for a crisis meeting. We had lost a division. Now, in between club alignment and approval, we had lost some clubs. And so our neighboring country, Tanzania, didn't have enough clubs to form a division. In that meeting, clubs were reallocated. And I remember my division getting 6 new clubs. I was there, curious, and I started checking how the clubs are. And shockingly, only Dato's Masters was on his feet. The other 5 joined the bulk of the clubs I had. That is a moment I grasped the gravity of the task ahead of me. I remembered how excited I was taking up this role. And at this point, I pondered and wondered, if all this information I have right now was available to me 4 months when I put up my hand, would my hand still be up? Now, too late at this point, because the dance of leadership had already begun and I was right in the middle of it. When we began and did the division success plan, there are some plans we had made. Our objective was at least double the number of healthy clubs. If we move them from 6 to 12, we are good. That's how we agreed at that moment. We had 3 broad categories. The first one was to stabilize clubs, second, to grow them, and third, to connect. So to stabilize clubs, we had agreed that within the first 1 month, we need to ensure that all clubs fill their club success plans. That way, they're going to have a plan but with which they're going to operate with and run with. Second, we want to conduct trainings for all credit officers and ensure also that the second training came within the first 5 months. This was to ensure that all club officials are aware of what is expected of them so that when we start running and we want to build high quality clubs, then none of us is behind. And that we want to get coaches for 6 of our clubs. Somehow we thought the other 3 clubs, we somehow can tweak a few things and make things work. The second category was growth. And for growth, what we had in mind is that if all areas and clubs held open houses, then we will get new clubs and get new members into our clubs. We also had an initiative by the district. The district had a task force headed by the CGD, Club Growth Director. And the plan was to ensure that we get new clubs to cover up the 17, and of course, cover up the ground that was slippery. So all area directors and division directors were part of this task force. The third category was connection. This is what had severed. This is what had taken the clubs to where they were. And so we needed to move with intention on how we work around connection. And so first, we were to ask clubs that were still meeting online to resume physical meetings. We also wanted to hold physical training. That was a directive by the division, by the district, and ensure that when we had training, we also had decided that as the division directors to be able to support each other, that we hold trainings on different days. So that way we can all cast the net wider to ensure all club officers are trained. Now, we had a roadmap and we had a scope. Then, boom, 6 new clubs. 6 new clubs, and 5 of them are also asking for coaches. Now, we go back to our little quarter, our little corner as a division, and we're having this conversation. What was interesting is my team was anxious, given the distance, given the status of these new clubs, because they need help. We are so far away, and only one has the strength and can't carry every other club in Tanzania, and we are based in Kenya. The other clubs were based in Kenya. There was doubt from some of the members if we could hack the air, and people were somewhat agitated. They were feeling our plates are already full. Why should we get additional responsibilities? In such moments, a leader is expected to be calm, to be resourceful, adaptable. I can now confess that I had my own levels of anxiety. That the moment was not just calling for leadership, it was screaming for it. Now, in the conversation, as we tried to look for a solution, there was a suggestion from one of the members that we could get a representative in Tanzania to be in charge of those clubs in Tanzania, and they can be attached to the division in Kenya. And that was a very good idea, which we sold to the district. Well, a bit back and forth, and eventually they adopted that. Of course, that conversation went on with other division directors, and we had 3 area directors. And the question was, and all the conversation and persuasion to the district is, how about getting the division director who had raised their heart to oversee Tanzania, because he's there, and it makes it easier for us to concentrate on what we have on our table. And after back and forth, and we eventually went that route. And of course, a whole 2 months was lost in conversation, in negotiation, that perhaps would have been valuable time for people in action. Well, some load was over our back, but I can tell you, when you still look at the load, our place was still full. Now, we got into action, and I can tell you, we had some sunny days, we had some cold days, and we had some rainy days, but we trudged on. I know that during the course, we had an area director who wasn't well and got bed rest for 3 months. Another area director just got burnt out towards the end. And I can tell you that a few council members just decided to flee the boiling pot. But we stuck. We stuck to what we started. Those that remained, we stuck to our goal. And what kept us together mainly was knowing the objective, why we were here, and the commitment to the district. Second was connection. At the beginning, we created time for us to know each other, time to understand the assignment at hand, and there was adequate time to know the challenges each one of us were facing. And what this helped is we were aware how to plug to each other's our support system. And we had a workable teamwork such that our schedules were aligned in such a way that we are all a support system to the person having an occasion, who is having an event. We were all plugging in to support. There was personal responsibility and commitment, and there was communication. And I would say communication really helped, though sometimes we dropped the ball. But in such moments, letting people say what needs to get said got us to be able to think through what needs to get done and be able to release some of the steam that we had from the work we did every day. And during the meetings, we met regularly, And I would say they were not always pleasant. But it was the moment that we gave feedback. It was the moment that we sharpened direction. It was the moment that people share their frustrations. And the goodness of such moments is that then you know how to approach the next front each time you were moving towards the next step. Interestingly, you would think that when people know their challenges from the word go, then they would always say yes. But no, we had conflicts. And what made life possible, even during the conflicts, was the core values. Aligning what we were doing with the core values. And that made life easy. But I'll tell you, one. We had planned that we need to hold our second training before the first 5 months. And unfortunately, the convener dropped the ball. So what we did as part of Remedy, we pushed the training to the second week of December. Now, 2 weeks to the training, only 5 people had registered. And the opinion of the council is, let's cancel the training. Now, with the weight on the shoulders, and thinking that the next available opportunity is February the following year, I wasn't sure that was the best decision. And so I went back to them and we said, now, why would we cancel? What are we afraid of? What is the deal breaker in that? And what came through was cost and the trainers. And I remember telling them, what if I take up that? What if we do it now? And the next time I'll figure out in the district where to get cost and trainers. And people said, fine. And so we went by that training. Eventually, we trained 20 people. And I would say that being decisive, giving direction, and the clarity of our priority shaped that moment. And I will tell you, this is one of those moments where my yoga mat played a big role because it kept me grounded, it kept me calm, and kept me focused. Now, we then ran to the edge of the town. And, well, we are looking at performance. Is that June of 2025. And, well, we had 10 clubs that had managed to get at least a distinguished status, which was good. We had one club that was one member short to earn its credit. We had a new club, and 2 of the new clubs we were also chartering, we didn't manage to complete the process within the time limit. Unfortunately, we lost 1 club. And we had 3 clubs that, let me say, they were corporate clubs. And corporate clubs had a challenge of their own. They had the same challenge. They were going through restructuring, and they treated Toastmasters as a rubber ball. So as such, they renewed yes, but they had no educational goal. So our efforts really just went to waste. The goat of that moment, which we all celebrated and said they were the flag bearer of all the effort we had made, was a club president of a club we call Real Rights. What we got at this president was, when we started that year, we had 1 member in that club. 5 months down the line, we had 3 members. And the first president had resigned, the second president was resigning when they brought in the third one who attended our training in December. And so we were to start again. We trained him, then got into the club success plan, intention, how he needs to pray around, how we can plug in. And by the end of the 6 months, he had managed to get the club to 24 members and had managed to get the club to distinguished status. And we celebrated him, not underrating, the other 5 presidents who had crossed oceans to make the club move from being unhealthy and crossing the Rhine to healthy clubs. We celebrated that. And then we had our evaluations. We evaluated ourselves. We were happy. This far we had come. We had at least achieved, most significantly, our goals. Of course, we had lost the club, but we were happy. And when we were raising our ear, what we felt held us together were 2 things. One, the strategy at the beginning, and second, this uncancelled training, because there was impact around it that made us move this forward. Now, thinking about that journey that we had, thinking about the district that year, I can tell you we sweat. We were tired by the end of that year. And even despite that fatigue, we did not get any distinction. Actually, we had 86 clubs, a net growth of three clubs. We had only managed to give to get 3 new clubs, but definitely we gave a different baton to the club, to the district that was coming next, the district leadership. We had so many clubs we were in the process of chartering that we didn't manage to charter, but which we gave as a baton to the coming district leadership. And what was refreshing, what is satisfying today when we looked at the last year's performance is that that district leadership didn't waste that effort, because they managed to get to 96 clubs, and they returned the former glory of the district to one the highest district what's called district award, Smedley distinguished. And I was thinking about that and checking, what if in our year we didn't carry the weight? What if we didn't do what was expected of us? And I was reflecting on that, and I love reflection. Reflection fuels my growth, and it informs my writing. And this analysis I actually have done in one of the pieces in my newest book. And what I have summarized or come up with thinking through the whole of that experience is this. In Toastmasters, we work in cycles as leaders. You don't always get to choose the music. You inherit the beat. And to me, leadership is knowing when to take the beat, when to change it, and how to make sure that the next dancer coming on stage gets a stronger beat than the one you inherited. Thinking about what we did in the division, what we did in the district that year, I would echo the words of the Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who says, never waste a good crisis. And that's my challenge to you today. Never waste a good crisis. Back to you, Toastmaster Oltesh.
Thank you very much, Wahiga. Crises clarify our priorities. Aligning with our core values makes us succeed. Now we are going into the shorter speeches. I'd like to call on to Robin Stone to give us the evaluation of our first speaker.
Should I start? I will be evaluating Rashmi's speech today, and she will be delivering a level 2 from presentation mastery, and under the topic of the project effective body language. So Rashmi would have chosen a topic that lends itself to expression through movement and gestures, and to deliver a speech containing practical and refined non-verbal communication. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Evaluator Robin Stone. Rashmi comes from Tanzania the land of Mount Kilimanjaro and Serengeti, where resilience meets adventure. Perhaps it's the spirit that has shaped her approach to leadership, staying grounded through uncertainty, embracing challenges with courage, and finding a way forward when the path is not clear. Rashmi Udeshi, the invisible back. Rashmi Udeshi, the invisible back.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Every journey begins with a backpack. Me and my family and our few friends, we started planning for Mount Kilimanjaro. And we started with planning, training, and then finally, the checklist, all is ticked, and a heavy backpack, some clothes, and many things to survive on a mountain, water, and all. And I have also carried an invisible backpack with expectations, fear, responsibilities. For this trip, we have been planning, and finally, the day arrives. We start as a family and our two dear friends. With us is our 13-year-old son, and I, as mom, am worried. Will he be able to survive the cold? Will he be able to summit? Will he be okay? Without thinking about self. Now, when we started with clear plan. We all, 5 of us, together enjoying and admiring the magnificent mountains and the surroundings, rainforest. And then we realized that day 1 is almost over. We all are happy. We reached our camp, Machame, and we all rested. Wow. Day 2 and 3, we start the day. We soon realize some of us are going ahead and some of us are trailing behind. But that was okay as far as we had the fortitude and we move ahead towards our goal. We want to summit. We realize that at the end of day 3, I have now started packing my invisible bag with expectations, with fear, expectation of reaching the summit, fear if we will be able to reach the summit, responsibility, I am with my family, and we all should summit. Day 3, it's tiring. We are now at an altitude, and now comes the difficult part. Our momentum has become slowly. We are going slowly, but we are reaching. And I soon realized day 4 and 5 that I am having altitude sickness. My oxygen level is going down. Luckily, we had carried for the oxygen. And also, I have lost my appetite. The only thing that I can survive on is this apple, which I nibble throughout the day, little by little. And the whole 2 days going, yes, apple, the rest is out. Somehow, after reaching the tent, yes, throw my shoes, and yes, we go off to sleep. This bag has become heavier. And a lot of expectations. What am I going to do? I am really worried. Then finally, on day 6, we reach the Barafu, the base camp. Wow, I finally made it to the base camp slowly but steadily, but I know my energy is low. There, the head guide is waiting for me. He says, "Ma'am, you cannot proceed beyond this. You need to go down." But I say, I need to summit with my son. I need to summit with my son. He is just 13. The head guide consoles me and says, "Be assured I will take care of him like my own child." So with my friends and my son, I let my sons go ahead. I tell, "You go ahead." And it was a very emotional moment for us. And we are going down. And he is going to summit on the night. As we go down, the altitude drops and we are able to have meal. We feel much better. And we get to hear at 6 a.m., they have summited Mount Kilimanjaro. And we, as parents, are very happy that our child has summited Mount Kilimanjaro with our friends. And this is the decision that I took as a leader. In spite of going together, we decided to step back and we let our team go ahead to summit. And this was a moment of pride for us that our team has summited. Now, what lessons I learned going on this mountain? Going on the mountains, I had my invisible bag. I had the first is expectations. Preparedness may be great, but outcomes might be different. I dropped it from my bag. The fear, another person's success doesn't diminish our journey. And I remove the fear. And now is the responsibility. I now have removed that control over somebody's journey. And I let them have their own control, as I knew that they will also succeed. I have thrown my invisible backpack on the mountain. And here I am back with my physical bag. And I've learned lessons which I take. And I leave this message for you. How many of you are carrying that invisible backpack with you? Dare to leave the invisible bag, and you can see wonders that happen along the way. As you have heard my story, raise and rise without the invisible bag. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Rashmi, for that story. We've learned that in times of crisis, moving ahead towards our goal with fortitude makes us successful. May I call on Sylvia Warrington to tell us the speech objectives of the next speaker.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. I will be evaluating Sandra Masters, who is a new member to Leadership Speak. She will be given her first icebreaker. Currently, she is on Pathway Dynamic Leadership Level 3-1. The title of her speech is The Threads That Connects Me. Sandra would like to be evaluated on audience engagement, her transitions and flow along with pauses, pacing, and vocal variety. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Sajida believes that effective leadership crisis begins with personal growth. Every challenge is a setback and a learning experience helps prepare us to navigate uncertainty and support others through it. Sajida, master the threads that connect us. The threads that connect us, Sajida, master.
When people ask me
Can we please
what
mute?
I do, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
You need to unmute herself.
Can you hear me now? Yes?
Yes.
When people ask me what I do, I never quite know what to answer.
Sajida, we can't hear you.
You have muted yourself, Sajida.
Am I audible?
Sajida,
Yes.
we can hear
Now,
you,
yeah.
but we can hear the people
I
as well
audible?
in your we can hear you, but we can hear the background.
No, we can hear you now, Sajida. Go.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
May I start again?
Sure, Sajida.
Yes?
There's
Yes.
some background noise, Sajida.
Yes.
Are you able
Yes.
to meet?
Can
There's
we
some
change?
background noise.
Yes, we have something passing by my house. So can I do it the third one while it passes
Okay.
by? I'm
Okay.
sorry about this.
Your is muted again.
May I call on Sonia Mendel to give us the objectives of the third speaker? We'll come back to you, Sajida.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nellie. Maryam's project is part of the Pathway Dynamic Leadership. Level 4, the project is called Manage Change. The purpose of the project is for Maryam to develop a change management plan and to share some aspects of it in her speech. Maryam shared with me that she wants me to focus on the content, her Zoom presence, and the special takeaway message. All the best to you, Maryam. Back to you, Toastmaster Nellie.
Thank you very much. Maryam believes that crisis leadership is the ability to stay calm, make decisive choices, communicate clearly, and inspire others to move forward with confidence when uncertainty is at its highest. Her speech title is Beyond Change. Maryam Saedevi, Beyond Change. Beyond Change, Maryam Saedevi.
Hello, Toastmaster. Welcome, guests. Everything is familiar until the minute that until the moment it is not. One day you are standing on solid ground. The next, the grand benefit, your identity shift. The career you built, the confidence you trust, the life you recognize, suddenly feel unfamiliar. And that silence, one question becomes visible. What just happened to my life? What just happened to my life? Have you ever lived through that moment? And when everything changed, and you quietly ask yourself, who am I now? I believe every one of us has the experience that moment. The difference is the not only the difference is
Hello, Pelacciare.
a few years ago, I built a successful career in the sales and business development. And I have the confidence and experience with the strong professional network. Then life changed. I need to leave everything behind and start living in a new country. Suddenly, I wasn't known for my achievement. I was introduced for someone looking for opportunity, attend interview, submit application, waiting for phone call, sometimes never care. Then find that with every rejection, I began to wonder, I still good enough? Then I find something so important. I couldn't manage it. I couldn't control the change, but I can control the response. I decided to manage the change with the clear plan. Call this the plan BAA, a simple plan to help move behind the change. B is the vision. Before anything else, I want to ask myself, what do I want my future look like? My goals, that wasn't only find a job. My goals, it was to revert my career. Even I become better leader. The first A is acceptance. Accept my life had to change. Stopping to compare a new life with the old one. Accepting is the not about means the give up. Accepting is the means to respect the reality so I could move forward with the purpose. The second A is the action. I update my CV, expanding my professional networking, prepare for the interview, even I joined Toastmaster International to improve my communication and leadership skills. The last A is the adaptability. After every interview, I reflect what I learned from each interview. Instead of saying to myself rejection as the failure, I treat myself as the feedback. I adjust my approach, then I improve my confidence and move forward. It's simply plan BAA. It didn't remove any challenge, but helped me to move in the correct direction. That experience taught me something I never forget. Change management is not always about organization. It is the leadership skill we all need. Before to guide anyone through the change, we must know how to lead ourselves. That helped me to discover my ability. The next time when the life brings you unexpected change, just remember VAA, vision, acceptance, action, ability. Change is the inevitable, but the growth is the international. The future doesn't belong to the people who can change. Belong to the people who can lead through and beyond. So, when your next challenge arrives, don't simply go through the change. Go beyond the change. Lead with the courage. Grow with the purpose. And inspire others to believe that everything can become the beginning, that every ending can become the beginning of the something extraordinary and help you to move forward beyond the change. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Maryam. Let's embrace change in order to move forward. May I ask Sajida to take the stage? Are you able to take the stage again? In the meantime, yes, you're audible. Go ahead, Sajida.
When people ask me what I do, I never quite know what to reply. Am I an education administrator, a career guidance counselor, a mentor, a coach, a Toastmaster, a psychology student, a business owner, or simply a parent? The truth is, all these roles are part of who I am. And they may sound very different, but they have one thing in common. They allow me to help others grow. And somehow along the way, they've helped me grow too. Not in a grand experience or life-changing event, rather in small moments that stayed with me long after these things have happened. And one of them came from a very determined 2-year-old. We were getting late, and my 2-year-old decided she does not want to wear shoes. I had her shoes in one hand, my patients in the other, and both were slipping very fast. I persuaded, I negotiated, I reasoned, I even made promises I had no business making. The shoes stayed off. And in that battle of wills, I learned that growth cannot be rushed. Whether it's a student choosing a career or a Toastmaster contemplating their first speech, or a team member learning a new skill, growth has its own pace. Years later, I found myself sitting across a student who was struggling making a career decision. And just like many counselors, I thought my job was to give answers. So I started with possibilities, universities, courses. The more I spoke, the quieter he became. And after some time, I thought this was not quite right. So I paused and I quietly asked him, "What do you really want?" For a moment, there was silence. Then he started speaking. Not about universities, not about careers, but about fears, pressures, expectations, and uncertainty. This conversation taught me that people do not always want answers. Sometimes they want someone who is willing to listen. And that lesson changed the way I counsel, the way I mentor others, and the way I lead. I joined Toastmasters because I wanted to become a more confident speaker. What I didn't expect was how much it would challenge me to grow. Earlier this year, I traveled to Addis Ababa to represent my area in the speech contest. As I took the stage, I was surrounded by experienced speakers from different countries and different backgrounds. It was both exciting as well as intimidating. And standing there, I felt that familiar nerve that comes before any speech. But it was different from everything because this was bigger than anything I had experienced. Later, as I was reflecting, I found myself not thinking about the contest. It was about the journey that brought me there. The meetings after a long, hard work day, the speeches that worked, the speeches that did not work, the leadership roles that stretched me beyond my expectation, the moments of doubt, the learning, the persistence. Each experience had shaped me in ways I hadn't fully appreciated. It reminded me that growth is not a destination, it is a process. One step, one challenge, one opportunity at a time. Today, when people ask me what I do, I still don't have a clear answer. Because the roles may have changed over the years, the thread running through them is still the same. Growth. And I am still growing. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much. Sajida, my takeaway from your speech was growth cannot be rushed. It has its own pace. May I remind our guests, our most important people here, to please sign into the guest books and to feel welcome, to also put their comments in the chat box. May I call on to our Kanav Huria to tell us the speech objectives of our next speaker.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nellie, for giving me the stage. I will be evaluating Toastmaster Hailen, who will be speaking from dynamic leadership. Everyone today is speaking from that path. And it's from level 3, project 1, which is about negotiating the best outcome. How she negotiates. So I'll be looking towards her stories, her structure, and how she gets out that negotiation part. And that's it. I will be coming back with my report when the general evaluator calls me. That's it. Back to the Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Nellie.
Thank you very much, Kanav. Helene believes that science, she's very passionate about science, education, leadership, and communication. She joined Toastmasters because she wanted to become a confident leader and an effective communicator, and hopefully inspire others that science is for everyone. Her speech title is My Father Didn't Tell Me What to Do. Helene, Hmok, my father didn't tell me what to do. My father didn't tell me what to do, Helene.
Have you ever wanted something so badly that you stopped listening to other possibilities? If you have, give me a reaction emoji, please. Thank you. Thank you. I have also. When I was 18, I thought I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted to leave my hometown, move to Ho Chi Minh City, the biggest city of my country, of Vietnam, and become a physics teacher. I had already made my decision, or at least I thought I had. One afternoon, my father asked me to sit down and have a cup of tea with him. I expected him to tell me what to do. Instead, he asked me questions. At that time, I had just finished high school. I had spent 3 years preparing to study physics. A large university in Ho Chi Minh City offered exactly what I wanted. I was excited about starting a new life. But my mother said, no, stay here. I was disappointed. Then my father asked, Lynn, can we talk? He didn't say, your mother is right. He asked, why do you want to go there? I said, because it's a big university. I haven't never been there. He listened. Then he asked, have you thought about what it would actually be like? He helped me see things I hadn't considered. I would be living alone in a city I didn't know, without relatives or much family support. Then he asked me 2 simple questions. Can you study the same career here? Yes. And still become a physics teacher? Yes. Suddenly, I realized something. I had been focusing on where I wanted to go instead of what I actually wanted to achieve. My position was, I want to study in Ho Chi Minh City. But my real interest was, I want to become a physics teacher. Ho Chi Minh City was only one possible route. There can be many roads to the same destination. So I took the entrance exam in my hometown. I passed. I stayed. I only spent one semester at university before my father passed away. That same year, I received a government scholarship to continue studying physics abroad. Looking back, I know I made the right decision. I had more time with my family. Yeah, I studied what I loved, and I learned that choosing a different path didn't mean giving up on my dream. Years later, I realized that my father had taught me a powerful lesson about negotiation. He didn't try to convince me. He listened. He asked questions. He understood my real interest. He explored alternatives. And he let me make my own decision. That's collaborative negotiation. It's not about winning. It's about understanding what people really need and finding possibilities that work better for everyone. Think about a negotiation you are having right now. Are you defending a position or are you trying to achieve a real goal? As leaders, we negotiate every day with our colleagues, our teams, or our families. And perhaps leadership is not about telling people which path to take. It is about listening well enough to help them discover their own path. My father didn't make the decision for me. He helped me make a better decision myself. And whenever I think about that afternoon, I remember two people sitting together, drinking tea. I thought we were talking about where I should go to university, but my father was teaching me something much bigger. The best negotiation isn't about convincing someone to follow your path. It's about understanding each other well enough to discover a better path together. TMOD.
Thank you very much, Harleen. Oh, listening well enough to find your own path. That's the advice you got from your father. May I call on to the timer to please post the time in the chat. And may I ask the Zoom master to launch the poll. In the meantime, I'd also like to encourage our guests to vote and also to sign into the guest book. From what we've heard today about crisis leadership, we've learned that clarifying our priorities in times of crisis, moving ahead with fortitude, growth is not rushed, and listen well to people you have a discussion with so that they might find their own path. Leadership requires fortitude to make highly unpopular choices, especially during crisis. I'd now like to hand over to the next session, but before I do, I'd like to end with this quote from Brian Tracy. "The trust of leadership is how we function in crisis." Thank you very much for your participation and enthusiasm for today's meeting. I'm now handing back to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Nellie.
Thank you so much, Nellie Ayodo, our Toastmaster of the day. And indeed, what a lovely message he ended us with. The trust of leadership is how we function to crisis. Now that we have witnessed inspiring speeches, stories, and meaningful reflections, it's time for one of the most important parts of our meeting, evaluation. And leading our evaluation segment is someone who believes that thriving in an environment where leadership is not measured, when the company is meeting its bottom line, employees are delivering, and organization is thriving, anyone can lead when things are going well. True leadership is measured when curveballs are thrown your way, when a team member misbehaves, and you take responsibility. When expectations remain high, despite fewer resources, and when uncertainty tests your resolve. Our general evaluator believes that thriving in such an environment is a true demonstration of leading effectively during a crisis. And that is why he keeps showing up and accepting leadership roles so that every crisis becomes not a disruption, but a stepping ladder for growth. So, fellow Toastmasters and our other guests, please welcome our General Evaluator, Oltesh Thobias. Oltesh Thobias, over to you.
Thank you very much, Nellie, our presiding officer. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters. A warm welcome to our visitors or guests as well. My name is Oltesh Thobias, and I'm your General Evaluator for today's meeting as we continue exploring, reflecting, and discovering effective crisis leadership. I will evaluate the process of the evaluation that we're just about to undertake. I'll call on a team of seasoned Toastmasters to evaluate our toast, the Toastmaster of the day, as well as the speakers who delivered engaging and inspiring speeches. I will call on the role players as well for their reports, including the timer and the grammarian. And after that, I will finally share my overall assessment on what happened, what did not happen during the meeting, and I'll provide some feedback on how we can continue improving as leaders and communicators. I would therefore like to invite our first evaluator who will evaluate the toast, Sandra Valks. And when I engage with evaluators, they had their own insight and reflection about the theme. And Sandra said, leading in a crisis is a test of being grounded and level-headed while observing the big picture, but most importantly, address the challenges on the ground in order to know where and when to come in. Sandra, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be evaluating Arouna today. And he asked me to check on structure and presence, the Zoom presence and the structure. I really like the way you opened, Arouna, with the quote, knows the way, shows the way, goes the way. I forget who said it, but I like the quote. We hear it often, but you used it as your structure for your toast. And that gave you 3 very clear focused areas for us to deal with. So well done with both structure and coming in on leadership and carrying it through. I would just suggest within your Zoom, beware of what I'm actually doing here. I'm doing it where we're keeping a rhythm with our hand, but we're not really up in the Zoom, in the video view. So watch that if you're going to be doing gestures, that they are up. I've learned most of the time to keep it up around my head. So you'll often see me this way just to get it up and out because of the position I have to be in here. So the hands were mostly down and I would just see them come up every once in a while beating that drum. Also, we need to be careful. I don't have a phony background because I don't like having disappearing parts. And with the toast in general and yours today, we have to keep the glass close to our face because as soon as it's out there, it's dancing in and out. So the tip for anything that we're using with the background, keep it up close to your body and the camera will pick it up. Overall, I really enjoyed your toast, your delivery, and your message. Well done. Thank you. Back to you, G.
Thank you, Sandra, for that encouraging. Thank you for that encouraging feedback. You did a recap of the purpose of Arouna's speech, or purpose of the speech, and the areas that he needs to consider going forward. But I'm also happy that you brought in the areas that he did very well, that he needs to maintain. We now move on to get feedback on one of the most engaging messages of the meeting, the educational speech. Paramjit will come in, and Paramjit says, crisis leadership tests a leader's calm, composure, and decisiveness under pressure. Let us just underline the fact that under pressure is what really differentiates a good leader from an effective leader. Paramjit.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator, Oltesh. A meeting with the name Crisis Leadership cannot be without crisis. And to avoid the crisis, our Toastmaster of the day, Nellie, created the WhatsApp group about 1 week back and was in conversation with all the role players, giving them encouragement, talking to them, and even talking to them and marking that everybody she has already talked to. That was the planning she was going so that there are no crises. But there is somebody, Mr. Murphy, which says anything that can go wrong is going to go wrong. So we had few of the crises in our meeting. We will talk about it. And Nellie, you had a well planned and even talking to everyone. Now, the major thing, you are very calm and composed. And even in such a situation where you have to deal everything, you use the word of the day also and was engaging with the people. Now, there are few things which you have asked me to talk, particularly look on. One was your eye contact. I would request you to watch your video on YouTube again, and you can find out your eye contact. Because what I felt that most of the time you were reading from the notes, and that's why, or maybe your computer is at such an angle that your eye contact was almost not at all with the public. It was down or up over the audience. Now if if you are reading the notes, because it's a very long process of a TMOD, I will recommend you one thing which I do most of the time. For the next speaker, I keep things ready. I know next speaker is going to be, let us say, Rashmi. So if you are going to speak from the notes, you're going to speak like Rashmi is from Tanzania. But that emotion, that connectivity, that doesn't come out. But if you remember, no need to read full, just remember 3 or 4 words about the person or the next speech. I do for every segment, for every person next. Then it will come. Rashmi comes from Tanzania. Wow. And she is one of our main Toastmaster. This vocal variety will add when you will be not speaking from the notes, and it will be directly connecting with the people. Second thing which is very important is for the flow of the meeting. You asked me the second question from you was the flow of the meeting. I will recommend to have a basic picture of the whole meeting before you start the meeting. Like 5 o'clock you are there according to my time. So before that, you can have a mental picture, what is going to happen. The first is this, second we are going to have a toast, third we are going to have this. That mental picture will help you to make the flow in a very right way. So with your calm and composed nature and your small introduction of the people, if you can add a vocal variety and speak from connecting with people rather than just reading from the notes, it would make you much more engaging, not on the Toastmaster of the day, MC for anywhere. Over to you, General Evaluator, Mr. Oltesh.
Thank you very much, Paramjit. There are 2 words that I've underlined here, which is I felt and then I recommend. You're calling the speaker to navigate and find a way of improving some of the areas that she can work on. After the meeting, you might want to engage with the TMOD just to help her on how she can actually exercise engaging with us so that she does not appear that she's reading the notes. Apology, I did introduce your introduction, your speech as that of Wahiga. It looks like Wahiga, your speech was very effective, that I didn't wait to bring you in so that we can get your evaluator. That said, I would like to invite Hannah to provide feedback to Wahiga. And Hannah said, leadership during crisis is when you're able to stay calm and become somebody else's confidence. If you've ever been in a situation where everyone is looking at you, and if you're panicking, they would also panic. That's what Hannah is talking about. Hannah, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. Just for a quick introduction, Wahiga's speech was for high performance leadership and deliver a speech to share the experience developing and completing the plan. And there are 4 criteria in the form that I'm going to point out. And the first one is developing a plan. It is what we reflect on what it reveals. What can a crisis teach us, and what can we do differently because of it? And Wahiga did it very well. A crisis presents an opportunity for her to learn, for her to adapt, grow stronger. You embrace the challenge by becoming a division director, recognizing that a crisis can be a chance to address and correct serious issues. People uncover abilities they weren't aware of, helping you, taking action, planning to support you, and making your life easier, all while they engaged with your enthusiasm and your smile. The second one is organize a guidance committee team. You identified that opportunity and you got your team to meet regularly, keeping focused. And crisis creates an opportunity for your people to step forward, take the responsibility, and lead. And surviving a crisis isn't just going about backwards or back to normal. It should be there to create a better normal. Third one, implement the plan with the help of the team. Yes, you took the action. You and your team took the action. Although losing members and clubs, you stayed positive with your enthusiasm and smile all the way. Your experience in completing the project, you emerged transformed. You have successfully completed your project, earning the Smedley Distinguished status, and finished your book. Although your title was Never Waste a Good Crisis, you never lost your humor. Your vocal variety and eye contact were good, but I want to challenge you on your Zoom presence, your hand gestures, and filling the frame. These are all important for engaging your audience. Wahiga, don't just aim to survive a crisis, aim to learn from it. Ask yourself these questions. What did I learn? What did it change for me? Have you emerged stronger than you were before? And I'm positive you can confidently answer all these questions with a yes. Your speech, Never Waste a Good Crisis, shifted the focus from crisis management to crisis transformation. I saw the messages in the chat box from Oltesh managed. They genuinely understood the significance of the message from Wahiga. And I remember the days how you, Wahiga, supported them in navigating through the crisis. And of course, you answer, yes, Oltesh. We had that leadership dance together. Wahiga, I look forward to your next speech and with the title of your division director, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Hannah. That was an encouraging feedback, and you were very clear on the areas that you're going to cover. And the areas that she needs to improve came out very clearly. I like the fact that your advice, your suggestions delivered exactly that calmness during crisis. One thing you might just want to look at is the time, because time is also a scarce resource. Moving forward, I want us to segue into speeches, prepared speeches. And we start with Robin Stone, who has been in Toastmasters for more than 25 years. And he says he has faced several leadership crises. And he says many of these have been very challenging. And he looks forward to continue experiencing that crisis leadership, even in today's meeting. Robin, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Oltesh. And of course to Rashmi. And I love hearing anything about Mount and Kilimanjaro, of course, which is on our own continent. And so I'm very envious of you, Rashmi. It was a time that I wanted to climb Kilimanjaro as well. You said every journey begins with a backpack, and of course you were wearing a backpack, but that was not really the backpack you were talking. We'll carry on our backs or somewhere, and you isolated it down to expectations that we have and fear, and of course, responsibility. And I thought those were wonderful ideas. And you did this really with an analogy, if you like, although you really did it, with the journey of the trek up at least part of Kilimanjaro to what you called a base camp. Just before the summit, where you were turned around. And that must have been a real disappointment, I know. And you must have had your expectations going, because you don't often get the opportunity to climb Kilimanjaro anyway, not any of us. You use body language extensively throughout this talk. So, for example, when you were talking about the need to have a checklist, you were holding your hand up and you were ticking off, as one might expect. When you had to look around, yes, indeed, you looked around. When you had to lean in, you leaned in. So all these gestures were good. What I would have suggested is that when you when the oxygen was depleted, in other words, the air became thinner and breathing became more labored and difficult, which resulted in your altitude sickness at the end of the day, that you could have slowed down a lot and become more labored so that we would understand that. Could have put a bit more emphasis in that. I thought there were parts you might have left out so that you could spend more time on those kind of gestures. Letting your son go, a young teenager, 13 years old, must have been a big thing. And handing the responsibility for him over to other people and trusting. But that's something we all have to do. I loved this talk, and I want to talk to you sometime in a bit more detail about the climb up Kilimanjaro. Mr. General Evaluator, back to you.
Thank you, Robin, for that valuable feedback, but also reflecting on the story specifically about the Kilimanjaro. You encouraged Rashmi, and I'm happy of the fact that you will continue engaging with her beyond this meeting, and that's where growth lies. Our next evaluator is Sylvia, who will evaluate Sajida. And Sylvia responds to effective crisis leadership says, being that person who brings clarity when others feel uncertain or overwhelmed, listening to different perspectives while communicating openly. That's a powerful lesson. Sylvia?
Thank you, Mr. GE. The thread that connect me. Sanjaya, this was a very interesting topic. Many of our lives are connected with different threads. And as we go through the path or journey, we learn many, many lessons along the way. My takeaway from your speech, Sanjaya, despite your technical difficulties, you were able to deliver an excellent speech. You were well-spoken, very clear, and your speaking pace was on point. It was as though you were in the same room with me and I was listening to your conversation. I believe I was very engaged, and from the audience, I believe they were engaged also. Your tone changed, but I would like to see a little bit more exaggeration, specifically when you were frustrated with your 2-year-old deciding whether she wanted to wear her shoes or to try to get her to wear her shoes on your way out. The other thing that caught my eye was the contact that you had on camera. Your eye level was more like you were looking down a bit. I think there could be a little bit more improvement on that, but all in all, there was some good connections throughout your speech. You had plenty of hand gestures. I believe that you could have minimized some of those and still have a smooth, creative delivery of your speech. You look very comfortable in front of the camera, and a lot of us are basically have been able to endure that change since 2020. Along with the difficulties that you overcome, I believe that you connected with the audience and myself. My takeaway from your speech is to step into your journey. Fear can be overcome. Back to you, Mr. GE.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. That was crisp, short, and clear. And I believe that Sajida will work on areas of consideration. I also like the fact that you mentioned how resilient she was. She came back and she still delivered her speech. One area that you might want to consider, Sylvia, is the pronunciation. We are an international club, and I know these names, you're not alone. All of us sometimes do have a challenge pronouncing the names, so we can just maybe engage with the speaker to specifically ask, how do you pronounce your name? You're not alone in this one. As we move on, our next evaluator is Sonia. She's located in south of France, and she's going to evaluate Maryam. And Sonia says she's been in leadership since 2024, and she's an area of business development. And she says that her reflection on today's theme is the ability to provide direction, stability, when situations become uncertain or unpredictable. Sonia, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, General Evaluator Oltesh. Maryam, you started with a short, memorable statement. Everything is familiar until the moment it is not. Right there, I felt connected, and I'm sure others as well, because we have been through those moments in our lives. You continued by sharing us your personal story and use this as a basis of your speech, providing a clear step framework, a tool that we can all apply when finding ourselves in moments of change. VAA, vision, acceptance, and action. And you provided us with the reasons why this framework will work when you apply it. Your title, Beyond Change, was very fitting because you ended with a clear call to action for us to apply this three-step framework, and not to end there, but to take it a step further, to lead ourselves and others through the change, not only managing the change. To strengthen your impact even further, I would recommend to start with your opening statement right away, instead of first the greeting, and also add a pause, especially when you ask us, have you lived through such moment? You can ask the audience for either a thumbs up or an emoji, and give it the time for us, give us the time to respond. You used the Zoom stage, coming closer, approaching the Zoom, stepping back. You used vocal variety. One time you spoke more quiet, then more louder. And you applied hand gestures, such as placing the hand on your hand on your heart. I want to challenge you to, what I also observed is that you were looking a little bit above at your notes, I want to challenge you to look us directly into the camera so that we can connect more with you and apply more emotions, because I can imagine from what I read between the lines, what I listened or heard in between, that those moments were very challenging and difficult for you. Take us through the journey, show more emotions, and use pauses so that we can actually feel what you felt in that moment. I had challenges to acoustically understand you at times, and at the end, there were even a moment where it was mute. So maybe you want to jump on our Zoom call earlier and test it out with our team first. Overall, you delivered your speech confidently, and I really enjoyed listening, and now I will feel motivated to apply your VAA framework. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to your next presentation, Maryam. Back to you, General Evaluator Oltesh.
Thank you very much, Sonia. You demonstrated some of the skills that you wanted the speaker to use. Facial expression, a smile, your voice, and I like how you opened your opening, because it would allow her to just understand and maybe pick out some areas that she needs to work on. Miriam, I like that. Our next evaluator is Kanafuria, who's going to evaluate our last speaker. Kanaf, as you come on stage, I would like you to just share your feedback on today's theme. Kanaf, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Oltesh. I'll start with my evaluation. The key takeaway for me was if you are doing a negotiation, it's not about what you think. It's about how you can make others think for themselves. So making others think is the key point. Toastmaster Highland did a wonderful job in showcasing that emotionally. She was talking about her father. She did this father, a little authority. When she was talking about her mother, she went into the anger mode. So a little angry. When she was excited, she said that specific voice modulation was done, that I'm excited. And the best part of voice modulation, when her father asked, can you think about itself? So can you do it here? Yes. Then another question. Yes. If you can see that there was a clear distinction between people. She was always doing yes here and asking questions here. So there was clear distinction, and the yes part was really beautiful. Kudos to Hylene for doing that. Coming to recommendation, I just found two things that could have been improved. First, there was no pause after when you said my father had died. I felt that there could have been a pause. Second, it's more like a challenge. The challenge is to learn about callbacks. Callback, when you started with the question that specifically stop when we stop listening to positivity, you can use the specific question and call back at the end that and use that question back at the end and conclude your speech with it. So that will make the speech question first point and the last point is same, so the people will remember the speech more because you are talking about the same things again. So it will create emotions. So remember the framework of callback. That's it. You did a wonderful job as to the emotion, the vocal variety, as I said. You started with a question that was really good. Just working on that. Question can be implemented towards the end that may make the speech much higher. That's it from my side. Back to the general evaluator.
Thank you, Kana, for that engaging but also educative feedback. And I like the fact that you did mention what do you want people to think about the message you communicate, because it's towards the receiver of the information. That was very powerful. I would now like to invite the Zoom master to launch the polls for the best evaluator. And as we wait for the polls to be launched, I would like to request the timer to start preparing to deliver our report as well as the grammarian. Zoom master, tell me when we are ready to move on.
Can give it 30 more seconds.
Thank you. I would now like to invite Leah. Leah, please go ahead and give us some feedback on how did we do time-wise. Thank you, Leah. I think the timings have been shared. We can therefore move on to the next feedback, which is the grammarian. And this is to be delivered by Nagla Abdallah. Please go ahead.
Hi, good day, everyone. The word of the day, fortitude. I have to say, today role players have demonstrated fortitude in their speeches and their roles. The word was used 5 times. When it comes to, I will end, of course, the language that worth praising, but allow me to just touch on some corrections that might help us in the future to improve the quality of the speeches. So when it comes to me and my family, the correct method is my family and I. Whom am I now? Correction is who am I now, because who is the subject of am. As well, the verb and tense agreement, especially when we are narrating from the past. So we keep the past as the governing tense in those stories. And now, when it comes to the language that we're praising in our meeting, I have captured a lot, but for the time of the meeting, I will highlight some of them. First one, would my heart still be up? And then release some steam. Moments we sharpen our directions. Weight on shoulders. We work in cycle. We inherit the beat in Toastmaster. Invisible back bag with expectations, fear, and responsibilities. I removed control on someone's journey. How many of you carrying your invisible bag with you? Raise and rise. Identity shift. Stop comparing old life with the new one. Accept the reality and move forward. Adaptability. Move forward beyond the change. The more I spoke, the quieter he became. And then growth can't be rushed. Growth has its own path. Growth is not a destination, collaborative negotiation, knows the way, share the way, lead the way. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nagla, for that excellent feedback. Choice of word was the first thing that I really liked. And I admire your listening skills because you pulled out some of the messages that some I did not even hear. And you also encouraged us to continue using the word of the day. One thing to consider, I would have preferred to see that word a little bit more because fortitude is such a powerful word, just to encourage us to continue using. All in all, I picked suggestions that you shared that I also expect to use in future. I'll therefore proceed and provide general feedback of the meeting. And I've been observing the progress from the time of preparation to today and going forward. The rehearsal or preparation meeting was organized. The VP was there. The TMOD was there. The presiding officer was there. And also some trainers were there. And everyone who needed the opportunity either to practice their speech or to learn on how to conduct their role was given an opportunity to do so. And this is something that differentiates leadership from other clubs. The level of leadership, the level of support and preparation before the meeting is demonstrated during the meeting. All the members, role takers as well as speakers, prepared very well. I like the fact that guests were welcome and they were felt. I believe they felt at home. The emojis that were being shared during the meeting, I believe they encouraged speakers. And I believe even for some speakers that had sound issues or video issues, they felt encouraged to share their message. I also like the resilience that everyone exercised. Despite the challenges, they forged on. And that was a true measure of leadership during crisis, to stay calm, to stay composed and focused. I also like the insights and the feedback and the interpretation as well as the reflection of role takers on this particular theme. It just did not come as an accident. It came with several years of learning, experience, as well as observation. While this is one of the top clubs in the world, there are some areas that I would believe that we might need to look at so that we can continue either improving or staying at the top. The toast was a lovely conversation, and I liked how So was prepared and deliver a keynote type of a toast. I would have, however, liked to have a bit of a pause because some people are still scrambling for their glasses, and then that opportunity was over. And there's nothing as good as having to raise your toast and enjoy your drink while you're within time. The Zoom master, I believe, that could have responded or reacted a little bit faster when Sajida had challenges with her mic as well as her equipment. I would also encourage role takers to do a mic check either before the meeting or during the rehearsals and the practice sessions. There are always surprises, by the way, so we're not blaming anyone here. Those surprises will always happen, and that's the crisis. That's the crisis we're talking about. While there was constant mentioning of the guests, I would recommend that at the beginning of the meeting, let us just engage with the guests a little bit, at least 2 or 3 minutes, so that they can feel welcome. That said, this was one of the most memorable meetings for me. It's one of the most engaging meetings for me, but I also believe that it was one of the most transformational meetings for you and I. Back to you, Madam Presiding Officer.
Thank you so much, Oltesh, for leading us through the evaluation segment. Now, I hope that everyone's ready because it's time to celebrate the stars of today's meeting. Our best effort speaker and our best effort evaluator. PR Master, kindly post our best effort speaker. And our best effort speaker is Wahiga Gichinga. Congratulations, Wahiga. And for our best effort evaluator, Hannah Schmidt. A huge round of applause to our best effort speaker and best effort evaluator. You inspired us all today and reminded us that growth isn't just about being here, but also stepping up. Of course, thank you to our PR master, Hmok, for making the voting process behind the scenes. And having said that, I will now turn my attention to our guest. We had a number of guests with us today, and you just witnessed a series of powerful speeches and evaluations. So, how are you feeling so far? Are you inspired, energized? I would like to talk to you. Now, I will now go first to one of our guests, Bhatia from Delhi. Mohit, are you available?
Uh,
Oh, sure. Hi, Mohit. Are you available? How do you find our meeting today?
it's really learning. Really, I really learn from this meeting. Really amazing people here. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, Mohit. Your audio is a bit. Oh, we can see you now. We'd love to see you.
Yep, thank you so much. Yep. Let me start my video. I'm trying, but I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
is it
Now
fine
we
now?
can see. Yep. So yeah, how do you find a meeting, Mohit?
Yep, it was nice, and I really, if I'm having it on such an evening because we are at now timing is 9, so I think we start at 7 as per my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I have a question for you. What is gonna take for you to become a member of us?
I already have there is not the Toastmaster.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Mohit, and thank you so much for joining us in our meeting.
Thank you.
And I will now move on to Marlene Mivril. Thank you so much for joining us. May I know where are you joining us from, Marlene Mivril? Hi, Marlene. Are you available? And I would like to go on, maybe. Mivril and Yvonne. Hi, Yvonne. How do you find our meeting today?
So, Nellie Jane, we have Yvonne and Merlin have been coming for several years as guests. They will continue coming as guests. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brom. And now we're done with our guest. So, however, I would like to extend my warm welcome to Divyendo Mahata, Eric Kennedy, Jessica Mahabata, Malin Mivril, Mohit Bhatia, Esther Germany. It's not here. Osmain Watara, Ram Kumara, Tori Charles, and Yvonne Cardenton. We're very grateful that you chose to spend your time with us today, and we hope to see you again very soon. So, fellow Toastmaster, let me continue with our thought of the day. Our meeting theme today is crisis leadership. And as I listened to tonight's speeches and series of evaluation, one question stayed with me. Who do I become when things do not go according to plan? One message echoed throughout the meeting on that question. Effective leaders remain calm in chaos because making informed decision requires serenity. We were also reminded that the leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. But showing the way is not enough. A leader must remain consistent, guided by vision, and anchored in values, especially when uncertainty makes the way forward difficult to see. And perhaps one of the most beautiful thoughts shared with us was leadership is the art of knowing when to keep the bit and when to change it. Because crisis disrupts even our best laid plans. In fact, tonight, we had experienced a little of that ourselves. We prepared, we planned, and yet we had unexpected moments. But we're here, we adjusted, we supported one another, and we keep moving forward. And perhaps that's the lesson that crisis is not always comes to destroy the plans. Sometimes it comes with opportunities for change, for innovation, and for growth. And growth has its own pace. So when the next crisis comes, perhaps we should not ask, how do I get through this? Perhaps we should also ask, what is this moment leading me to become? Perhaps it requires being calm, perhaps courage, perhaps compassion, perhaps a change of direction, whatever it may be. Chose to respond rather than simply react, because we cannot always choose the crisis that comes our way, but we can choose the kind of leader who meets it. And as we come to the close of tonight's meeting, I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this gathering meaningful. To our members and guests joining us from all around the world, thank you for joining to spend your time with us here at Leadership Speak. Your presence, participation, and willingness to learn together continue to make this community special. Your speakers, the evaluators, the role takers, thank you so much for showing up tonight and giving your best. Tonight may not have gone exactly as we had planned for some, had a few unexpected moments along the way, but perhaps that made our theme crisis leadership even more meaningful. So this meeting reminds us that leadership is not tested when everything is perfect. It is tested when plans change, uncertainty appears, and we are called to respond. And we learned that effective leaders remain calm in chaos, stay anchored in their values, support one another, and know when to keep the peace and when to change us. So as we leave tonight's Zoom meeting, I invite you to carry one question. When the unexpected happens, what kind of leader will I choose to be? Because we may
And
not
before you
always...
adjourn, I'd like
Yep.
to say something.
Sure, Bram.
So we have an open house coming up on September the 5th. And it's going to be exciting open house because the World Champion of Public Speaking's finalist, Yolanda Page, will be with us on September 5th. She was there last night on the final stage, and she was the first speaker. And she had a fantastic, fascinating presentation. She will be speaking at a Leadership Speak on September the 5th for 20 minutes in a keynote. All right. And I can't remember the name of the keynote. She had told me this quite a while back, but we'll publish that in the WhatsApp chat in our group, and you'll see it there. Now, how many of you are bringing guests to that event? Just one, two, three? Put up your electronic hands. It's easier to see electronic hands. Great, awesome. So about 5 of you, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, the numbers are going up. Woohoo! I like that. I like that people are putting up their hand. Paramjit, I thought you had your hand up, then it went down. So I don't know whether you are deciding. I don't know what you're doing. Up, down, in, out. So thank you very much. So we would, of course, this is a member-driven open house. It is not an external open house. It's member-driven. For members to bring guests because of what they appreciate about Leadership Speak. And so they think that it's very useful to them and they want to share the idea with others so they can become members as well. Like, for example, when we go to a very good restaurant or we see a great movie, don't we share it and tell our friends, go to the movie, it was just great, don't miss it, or go to this restaurant, the food was just fantastic. Well, our movies here, our speeches are just amazing. Our menu here is fantastic. Our service and excellence, with excellence is a world class. Actually, if it was a Michelin restaurant, we would get 3 stars every year, forever. And we do at the district level. We get the Club of the Year award every year at the district level. There's no global award. If there was a global award, we would win that as well. Out of 15,000 clubs, we would win the award. So I'm sure it is very useful to all of you. This club, the way it is run, the excellence, the service, the standard that we have, that we maintain. Even Sonia from France, who should be on the Riviera right now, is here actually than having a champagne with the billionaires over there. So it tells a bit about what the club is all about, right, Sonia?
Absolutely, 100% agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely you do. And we even have a Rolling Stone, you know, right? They should be on stage saying, I can get no satisfaction, but he's here, like doing a speech instead. So, and then, you know, Najla all the way from Dubai, she's going to London. She's sitting in London, you know, in the London fog, you know. Did you go to the London Bridge, Najla? Yeah? No? Have you been? What's the London Bridge? Is it the one that opens and closes? Is that London Bridge? That's what everyone thinks, right?
I'm away in Plymouth. It's on the seaside, so I'm
Oh,
not
you're
a
in
London
Plymouth.
self.
Okay, you are on
Yeah,
the beach. All right.
yeah.
You're in one of those resort areas. But anyways, those who think London Bridge is that's the Tower Bridge that opens and closes. The London Bridge is just an ordinary looking bridge. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, September the 5th. Next week, of course, we have a meeting coming up, and Nellie Jane is going to tell us what the theme is and close the meeting and adjourn. Thank you, Nellie Jane, for giving me this opportunity to talk about the open house. Over to you, Nellie Jane.
Thank you so much, Bram. And before we officially conclude, I invite everyone to join us again next Saturday as we continue our leadership journey with another inspiring theme: empower others to lead. Because leadership is not only about how well we lead ourselves through difficult moments in times of crisis. It's also about creating the confidence, the opportunity, and space for others to step forward and lead. Thank you once again to everyone who joined us tonight. And on behalf of the Leadership Speak, it has been my honor and privilege to serve as your presiding Toastmaster. I now declare this meeting adjourned. Zoom Master, you may now stop the recording and end the YouTube live stream. Thank you so much. Until we meet again, crisis may change the fan.